This is Diane Andrews in Black and White. The issues you don't want to talk about. The arts and entertainment you need to know. And now here's your host, Diane Andrews.
Thank you, audience, for being here. And thank you out in YouTube land. Thank you on television. As you know, we're in 50 parishes in the state of Louisiana. We're in all the major cities except Lake Charles. We're in Shreveport, we're in Alexandria, New Orleans, and Lafayette twice a week, in Baton Rouge about 3 times a week. Our volume of people, not saying that 3 million are watching us all at the same time, but we go into 3 million homes here in Louisiana, and I've been doing this about 20 months. So I'm Diane Andrews, as you probably know, the host of Diane Andrews in Black and White. So thank you again for watching us. We're out there on YouTube and Vimeo. I started a series called All About Kids about 3-4 months ago. And we had some kids from Lafayette. In fact, I went up and was a judge in a play that they gave. It was At-Risk Gifted Children up in Lafayette. We're on in Lafayette, so they had seen the show. I also, want to do more of these kinds of shows, and this will be the second in the series of All About Kids. First, we're going to talk about kids in need, the CASA system, the court-appointed special advocates, and then we're going to go to a young lady who had a vision at 3 years old and said, I want to be an astronaut, Daddy, and I'm going to Mars. And now she's 15, and she's pursuing those dreams. She is one prodigy of a young woman. Here with us today from CASA is Jennifer Myers, who is the recruitment coordinator. She has a PR degree from the University of Florida, but she is now making sure CASA can stay in existence and thrive by helping foster kids by recruiting more volunteers. Currently, they have 92 volunteers at CASA, but the goal this year is to get as many as we can because there's a terrific need. 80% of all the children at CASA are minority, specifically black, and only 30% of the volunteers are black. And in saying that, sitting next to her is a black volunteer. Yes. Her name is Megan Harrelson.
Hi.
Now, thanks for being here. She has her master's in social work, and she has been a working with Jennifer to be a volunteer since 2009. Now, tell us, what made you decide to be a volunteer?
Well, I grew up in a family of social workers, as well as women who are community activists. So volunteerism was planted into my soul when I was born. And when I was on the campus of LSU receiving my bachelor's degree, I received some information about the CASA program, and I thought that would be a wonderful opportunity to mix my passion with children and teenagers and families with my career goals of being a social worker.
And how does it work for you? How is it to be a volunteer? What would you tell to people out here to make them know that it's a great thing and makes you feel better because you're helping a foster kid who is caught up in the court system and needs? Tell me what kind of counseling you do, and then we're going to get to you, Jennifer.
Absolutely. Being a CASA volunteer is rewarding in a lot of different areas, but also on a lot of different levels. We're able to work closely with the social workers at DCFS to also provide support for them.
Say who that was,
DCFS, the Department of Children and Family Services.
Okay.
We're able to work closely with the caseworkers there to provide them with support, to provide them with additional information, to also receive a lot of information as far as the court process. So we're learning how to proceed with court, as well as to interact with the children and the families that are involved in the foster care system. But we also support the families, we support the parents, we support the children.
How many of them are only from a matriarchic society? Because a lot of black kids, 70%, 65 to 70, are growing up without a father figure in the home. So are most of the kids that you work with, Jennifer, are they only a matriarch, a mother, and not a father?
I actually don't have those statistics on me right now. I'd be happy to provide them to you later if that's something we track, but really we see kids from a variety of different backgrounds, and that's why we take and need volunteers from all different walks of life, because our kids come from all different walks of life.
But 80% are black, and you
Yes.
really, because kids relate better. If you had a white kid, she may relate better to Jennifer than you, as you have a black kid who probably can relate better to you or me
Yes,
than they
because-
would to
yes.
Jennifer, yes. Just because of backgrounds, and not that
Yes.
it's prejudice, it's just,
Right.
it helps them, but they're already
And
scared.
they can
Yes.
easily
Yeah.
relate to someone and
Right.
just feeling comfortable with that volunteer.
When you walk in the door, instead of having a time period before you're comfortable.
Yes, and that volunteer can also serve as a positive role model in that
Right.
child's life.
Right.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
listening to Megan talk, and I'm sure. Tell me some of the things you tell children when you first meet them.
Well, when I first meet them, I don't want to come off as just another person in their life to ask them a lot of questions. And I don't want to assume that I understand what they're going through, because I do not.
Right.
So when I meet with a child, I've been working since 2009, as you have stated, and I'm on my 5th case right now. And
Tell me, what are they in court for? Just give me one example, usually.
So all of these children that we serve at CASA, they're in foster care. CASA stands for, I don't think we've mentioned yet, Court Appointed Special Advocate.
I said it when I started. Yeah, I said it in the beginning.
So all these kids are in foster care, and CASA volunteers serve as their advocate to
Yeah.
speak up for their best interest. While Megan does have a master's in social work, you don't
Right.
have to be a social work person
have a master's.
or a lawyer to be a CASA
Or
volunteer.
even a degree.
Exactly.
A volunteer have to
We-
have just a good heart, right?
Yes,
and want to help
exactly.
someone, right?
And so our CASA volunteers, they serve as a voice for that child. So all of these children are in court for what's called a child in need of care case. So the CASA
Which means
volunteer,
what? A child? Just give me an example. I know
means
they're
that
different.
The
for different
state
kids.
is the child's parent being in foster care. So the end goal of a CASA volunteer's involvement is to help these kids reach safe and permanent homes as quickly as possible. Whether that means being reunified, which a few of Megan's cases, the children have been reunified with their families.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Or adoption,
Yeah.
transfer of custody to a relative. You know, the CASA volunteer is there to help expedite that process and make sure the child's needs are being met and making sure that the voice is heard.
Well, I sure appreciate you being here today, and I hope that Diane Andrews in Black and White, our population out there who views the show, will be willing to tell them how to get in contact if they want to volunteer.
well, first I would also always suggest that you go on the website, CASA.
CASABR.org, yes.
Yes, and find a little bit more about the organization to see if you're interested. And then
Right.
also what I love about CASA is that they give us a lot of opportunities to learn more about them and to learn more
Just
about
real
their
quickly,
resources.
the training process, just briefly tell us what.
Well, I
what
do
you
want to
do
mention,
there.
I know you were broadcast statewide.
Right.
So CASABR.org, that's going to be for the capital
Baton
area
Rouge,
program
right.
that serves East Baton Rouge Parish. If you're interested in learning about another CASA program in Louisiana, I think there are 17 or 18. LouisianaChildren.org is that website if you're not in the Baton Rouge area. All of our training programs cover the same basic information, but what I'm going to speak to is the Baton Rouge Capital Area CASA program.
Okay.
The training course itself is 32 hours, which sounds like a lot, but
Yeah.
we do make it doable. You just have to complete
Not all at
training.
one time.
It's over the course of 3 weeks.
Okay.
You just have to complete training within 6 months. So for example, we are finishing up a training course at the office tonight. If any of those people miss a certain number of sessions, they can come back over the summer
Well,
and
I know
finish.
how I heard, found out about CASA. I finally went in for my jury duty to see, you know, how you delay, and I was scared, okay, let me go on and get this over. And you speak to not everyone selected, but the entire body before they select the jurors up there. And as I said, let me call her and ask her. It's such a good program if you would want to be on the show to highlight and try to highlight what you all do and how good it is for someone to be a volunteer. It's made your life feel better from the heart, hasn't it?
It does,
Megan?
it does. Just watching the rapport build with myself as well as the children, and then increasing their level of comfort.
Yeah.
Because if you put yourself in their shoes and you empathize just for a second, this is a child and their situation is out of control and they're being detached from their parents, and they may not understand the reason why. And then they have to answer a lot of questions from a lot of different people.
We're going to have to cut it quick,
Yes.
so, but anything else that, real quickly, 2 or 3 words you'd like to say to make people come and volunteer?
Yes, I would just encourage anyone who has a passion of children, youth, and families to, in any type of experience, and even if you don't have any experience, but just the passion, the interest to please join as a CASA volunteer so that you can actually speak for a child who doesn't
Thanks,
really
Megan,
have a
and
voice.
thanks, Jennifer. Thanks
you.
for being on Diane Andrews in Black and White. Come on back to us to see a child who was 3 years old and said, Daddy, I want to go to Mars, and I am going to be an astronaut. And now she's on that path. Come on back to Diane Andrews in black and white.
Order your copies now of Diane Andrews' latest books, Third Man Out, a suspenseful mystery by Diane Andrews, and Gumbo for the Heart, 25 stories of faith, hope, and charity, both available now on Amazon.com.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, A Formal Affair.
My name is Raven. I work at Debbie's Bridal, and she makes your dreams come true.
Thank you for coming back to Diane Andrews in black and white in my All About Kids show. This part is about exceptional kids, specifically one very exceptional one lady. You heard me say before we went to break that there was going to be a person coming on. Her name is Alyssa Carson. She decided or said at 3 years old, I'm going to Mars, Daddy, and I want to be an astronaut. I'm going to be an astronaut, right? Not I want to be, I'm going to be an astronaut. So her father said he didn't pay too much attention at the time. You know, he just thought how kids see something and say something about what they want to do when they grow up. So at 5 years old, he then saw her looking at maps of Mars. And he said, this is serious. So you really have to give him credit. I'm going to give you a little background into him. He decided that he wanted to have a child. So he got with one of his friends, girlfriends, some lady that he knew very well, and decided, let's have a daughter. So he has raised this wonderful prodigy by himself. And she is a beautiful young girl. I have interviewed over 400 people in about 20 months, and you're one of the most interesting at 15 years old that I've ever met and interviewed, because I kept telling your father, I want to get her on. I met you at Dr. Greason's house. I mentioned to you when I started October Halloween party he had, that he used to have every year. He is now not with us anymore. And you came up, you were just talking about, I'm going to be an astronaut, I want to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I remembered your bubbly personality from then. Now, she speaks 4 languages. She attends the Baton Rouge International School, so we have to give the school credit, which is a wonderful school here, from what I've heard here in Baton Rouge. And she speaks 4 languages, Chinese, English, French, and Spanish, correct?
Correct.
I can only speak English, so hey, right out there you did me right away, just barely get away with English. So, and you have been to every space camp in the world, which is Turkey, Canada, and Huntsville, Alabama.
Correct.
And also the official NASA passport program.
Correct.
Now, what exactly does that mean, Alyssa?
So the NASA Passport Program is when you go to all 14 official NASA visitor centers in the United States, so they're scattered across the country, and you go to each center, get a stamp on the NASA passport, and then once you finish all of them, then you turn it in.
And you're the only person in the country to do that also?
Correct. Me and my dad are both the only 2 people.
Does he count? Does he count?
Well, yeah, we can count him.
We'll count him in this one, okay. So what do you remember when you were old enough to remember, 5 or 6 or 7, and saying, and looking at the maps and saying, I want to go to Mars? You just had this feeling. What do you know what made this happen? What made you want to be an astronaut?
I mean, the main thing that I really remember now, obviously I don't remember a lot when I was 3 years old.
Right.
I mean, the main indicator that we have that we think is what kind of started this whole thing is we have a poster from a TV show that I watched when I was younger, and it says like Mission to Mars on it. And so we're thinking that like I saw that, and then that kind of first sparked my interest. And then at 5 or 6, we still have the map that I was looking at. We still have it
that's nice.
hanging.
Yeah.
And so
I can kind of vaguely remember kind of looking or asking for all these different things about space and about Mars.
Well, you do have to give your father some credit because he was the one who had to make sure you got to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
So when you were 7 or 8, were you looking at, okay, Daddy, I want to go here. Daddy, I want to go to this space camp. Daddy, I want to do this. Were you that early starting to tell him some things you wanted to do?
Well, around 7 or 8, that's when we kind of found about Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama, just because we were driving home from a trip, and we just so happened to see the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and we didn't realize that there was a space camp there. We thought it was just a visitor center. So we stopped by and looked around, and then we saw brochures for Space Camp, and then right when I saw it, I was like, Daddy, I want to go to space camp. And then after...
And how old were you then, 7?
I was about probably 6 or 7.
Right.
And then he decided that he would come with me, and we did a parent-child camp. And we went and spent a long weekend there, and basically it was just about the best weekend of my life because I learned all about space and about Mars and about everything I wanted and was curious about.
Now, I understand you do regular things in school. You don't have a smartphone.
No, ma'am.
And you play piano, you play sports, some sports too.
Correct, soccer.
You play soccer. And what else? Do you have friends that you know that you associate with, talk on the phone with, movies, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I do everything that a normal teenager would do. I mean, like you said, soccer, piano. I also did dance for many years, and then also hang out with my friends all the time and do normal teenager things as well.
So do any people come up to you and think that you're, I don't want to use the word weird, but different because of your desire and your ability? You are a very blessed person that you were able to find what your passion was at 3 years old.
Right.
I don't know anyone else that's been able to find that. There may be, but I don't know anyone. And you kept targeted on that mission, which is a fun ride. I mean, to go to all these space camps and see space and for people to know you all around the world and you be able, because of Baton Rouge International, to speak to them in their language.
Right. I mean, usually when I meet people, and whenever I tell them what all I'm doing, what I'm preparing for, the fact that I want to become an astronaut and eventually go to Mars, usually it's a shock at first, and then sometimes several people think that I'm joking. But then once they realize that it's actually something that I want to do with my life, then they're very supportive and they're really just there and encouraging me, and they're really just amazed about how much that I've done, and they're really just supporting me.
It is an amazing trip that you're on, in this journey that you're taking in life so early, and knowing what you want to do and having the support of other people. Now, have you formed friends around the world who are also wanting to be astronauts, other young teenage?
I have several people, close people that I've met at some of these camps, or others that I've just met, and you know, they not necessarily want to become an astronaut, but maybe they want to go into a STEM field or go into something that has to do with science or technology, or maybe just anything in NASA, such as an engineer or something like that. And so really, I just like to talk to others and to inspire them to follow whatever dreams they may have, whether it's not just in STEM or whether it's becoming an astronaut or maybe becoming a teacher, no matter what it is, but just finding that dream that they really want to do with their lives and then following it.
So how many people do you think, because you do motivational speaking, right?
Correct.
So you inspire people. You have older people than you coming up thanking you, I'm sure, quite often, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got some people 60. Boy, it's not too late for me, is it? You started at 3 years old. I'm 60. Is it too late? And I would say it's never too late to follow your passion. Would you agree at your very young, intelligent age?
I mean, really, I just tell anyone. I mean, if it's really something you want to do and something you're passionate about, then go for it.
I agree with you on that. So on school, I mean, you say you just do normal things? You're on a soccer team.
Correct. So I get.
When do you find time? Because are you a 4.0 student? I thought
most of the time, yeah, 4.0.
So your IQ is obviously very high. But even if people, may not have the IQ, they still can follow their dream, no matter what that dream is.
Of course.
So what would you tell to the audience out there, to young and older people, about following their dream?
I mean, really, no matter what challenges it may seem, or no matter what kind of obstacles may get in the way of following your dream, you can always find ways around it. I mean, some of the things that I've done that's gone in my way, I've written essays to get scholarships to go to some of the camps that I've gone to. So no matter what your dream is, no matter like where you are, there's always ways to get around and follow your dream. Because if it's something that you're passionate about, something that you really want to do, then you can find ways to get around it to eventually accomplish your dream.
That's right. Don't let an obstacle stop you from following it. Would you stand up a moment so we can look at your space
Sure.
and tell us about each one of the badges?
I mean, some of these badges are just from the different places that I've gone. So like, this is from the Flight Research Center, so just some of the places that I've gone. This is to represent a panel that I went on when I was 12 years old.
And you're 15 now, correct? This year you were 15.
Correct. I was 15 this year. Or like this is to represent the capsule that will be sending humans to Mars. Or this is an example of one of the camps, the Eurospace camp in Belgium, National Flight Academy, which is a camp in Pensacola.
And so you have been all over the world on this journey that you're on. And it's so good because you have to speak for your father, because I don't think he's multilingual.
Well,
linguistic, is he?
In kindergarten, he wanted to kind of catch up on the languages, but after he kind of just
kindergarten,
let it go.
yeah, kindergarten, yeah. And that's probably his status in the foreign languages, like mine, kindergarten, yeah. This is nice though. So every place you go, you put it. Oh, and they have your name. What does the blueberry mean? I saw something on one of your cards.
So blueberry is a call sign, which is kind of like a nickname. And so my call sign I got when. The second time I went to
What
space
does a call
camp.
sign mean?
So it's like a nickname, but it has to be given to you. And so I got the second time I went to space camp, and I got it because I was wearing a flight suit like this, except it was a really dark shade of blue, and I was really short. So my crew trainer told me that I looked like a little blueberry. So people just started calling me Blueberry, and it kind of caught, and it stuck ever since.
So does everyone have anybody, a candidate for space, they give them a nickname?
Well, I mean, usually all astronauts have a certain call sign that they go by.
So call sign is just a nickname when
Correct.
when they tell you that. So in Huntsville, tell me what a space rocket center, what's there when you walk in? What do you see?
So they have a lot about the history of space. They also have rockets on display. They even have a big Saturn V rocket, which is the rocket that sent humans to the moon.
Yeah.
They also have different rides that you can go on. So there's one called G-Force, and so represent pressure on your body.
And anyone can go to Huntsville just to see it and
Look
do
at
the
the
rides
exhibit.
and learn more about Huntsville. I was a programmer when I first graduated from college in mathematics. I was a programmer with IBM, and I programmed on the space shuttle. I don't think the space shuttle flies anymore. Didn't they discontinue that a couple of years ago, the space shuttle
They did
mission?
stop to focus more on building the SLS rocket, which will send humans to Mars. So they started focusing more about the mission to Mars.
So the rocket itself how long will it take to get to Mars? Have they estimated that's what, 2035?
2033 is like about the year that they're planning to send, and it'll take between 6 to 9 months to get there, or it'll take either 6 to 9 months to get there, and then let's say it takes 6 months to get there, then it'll take 9 months back, or 9 months there and 6 months back.
So what are you expecting? What do they expect Mars to be like when you get there? Is that the closest atmosphere to the Earth's? Is that why America is looking to go to Mars first?
Really, we're planning to go to Mars because it's the next planet that we can go on and the next planet that we can explore, and also to go and look for signs of life in the water that we found there, and just really do more research about the planet.
You say it's the one we can go to. What does that mean, Alyssa? Of the others?
So, like, the next closest planet to us on the other side of us is Venus. Venus is very hot and, like, extremely hot, and so it'd be really difficult to land and actually walk on the planet. Mars is kind of more colder, so it's kind of easier to land and live on.
Do they think it has terrain similar to our terrain here in America? Do they think it's flat or hilly, but they believe the climate is very similar to ours, just a little colder?
They think, well, Mars is very similar to Earth in many aspects, such as size. The main thing they're looking at also is terraforming Mars, which means kind of warming up the planet and transforming it into another Earth. So it would warm up the planet, and then an atmosphere will start to form, and oxygen. So it would be
Are they looking for this because by 2033 they think we would almost destroy this one? Is that why we're in a hunt for that?
It's a look ahead, because terraforming will take 300 plus years. So it's all about thinking far, far in the future.
How long has there been a mission to Mars, been in the works? Do you know?
I mean, it's obviously started ever since I was 3, and it's been going on since then. And I'm sure the idea has been there ever since von Braun, who was an old rocket scientist from years ago during the moon age.
So, but it's actively being worked on now. The rockets to get you there are actually being built or in prototype. Have you ever seen what they look like for Mars?
Yes, ma'am. There is actually parts of the rocket that's being built down near New Orleans, in the New Orleans area at Michoud. And there are.
Can you go see it? Can anybody go see that?
I'm not sure if it's open to the public.
Oh, yeah.
Because right now they're just trying to put it all together and actually build it.
So what do you all have no interpretation, in any fear, nothing about going to Mars? You just,
really,
it's what you want to do.
Really, I put my trust because I can see how hard people are working to build this rocket and how much testing is going into it. So I put my full trust in them, and really I don't have any fear because I know it's something I want to do, and I'm not going to let fear stop me.
And I think I saw on one of your YouTubes or on one of your websites that you were saying what you plan to major in school, so it makes you better prepared to be an astronaut, to be one of the first to go to Mars. How many are they taking?
Well, kind of my plan for college is to go to Cambridge in the UK for my undergrad, International Space University in Strasbourg, France, and study space engineering, and then MIT and focus on astrobiology.
I'm sitting here talking to a rocket scientist. And by all means, I would say that, especially someone that's going up into space, and I believe if anyone can do it, you can do it. How many people will be on that rocket ship?
They're looking at
how many astronauts?
Like 6 to 12.
6 to 12. So, but you have to be selected, right? They're going to pick out of this body of astronauts that want to go to space, and that's why you're preparing yourself.
Correct.
And you speak the languages, but no one speaks Martian yet, right?
Right.
You know, you see all these old shows about the Martians. They had some show on TV that used to come on about the Martians. Have you ever seen that one? This guy came down from Mars and he lived with his family, and it's old comedy. Yeah, you're too young to, unless it was an old rerun to ever have seen that show. Well, I wish you the best, Alicia. Not that you need it. I think you're so well equipped and you know exactly what you want to do. You've got a support system that works with you. And at least for you, so you can tell them what to do, because I think you're more advanced on what you want to do than anybody else in the world is.
Right.
So you're one prodigy of an exceptional kid. So thanks for being on Diane Andrews in Black and White.
Order your copies now of Diane Andrews' latest books, Third Man Out, a suspenseful mystery by Diane Andrews, and Gumbo for the Heart, 25 stories of faith, hope, and charity, both available now on Amazon.com.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a Formal Affair.
My name is Raven. I work at Debbie's Bridal, and she makes your dreams come true.